Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for May 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link below this video to see my blog and see what's new on my blog. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community and get all the perks that go along with that, including my new interviews where I ask questions, burning questions of mine to awesome people doing really cool things in the world. So what's going on in May? May has a surprising amount of, we'll call it ebullience, just this effervescence, this bubbling up with wonderful goodness. The reason why I say it's surprising is because we do still have this wall of retrogrades that I have been talking about. If you've been listening to my previous reports, if you haven't, I recommend that you go back and listen to March to hear about the eclipses, which are still active, to hear about the Mars retrograde. Also check out my Mars retrograde video and my blog, because we're not going to cover in its entirety the implications of Mars retrograde, but the whole month of May, Mars is fully retrograde, April 17th through June 29th, and then the shadow period goes into August. So that's a very long transit with a lot of do's and don'ts. We have these amazing trines in the month of May, besides Jupiter going direct. And Jupiter going direct and these trines are going to bring in a lot of blessings, and specifically Jupiter going direct is going to start to activate and bring some forward movement to things that seemed like they were tabled. If you had some things that were starting to expand for you last year, like late summer into the end of 2015, and then somehow mysteriously in the beginning of January of 2016, these blessings, the expansion, this forward movement maybe started to stop or just seem like it went away altogether. That was likely linked to Jupiter going retrograde in the beginning of January. So wherever Jupiter goes, it expands, it brings growth, it brings momentum, it brings opportunities. If there's an issue that is interfering with your highest vision of yourself, it might exacerbate the issue to bring it more into your face to deal with so that you could get through it to the other side. It expands things, it grows, it makes them bigger. And that could be for better or worse, but even the things for worse, usually there's an outcome in mind that is better. You just have to get through the intensification period. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, just like every other planet when it goes retrograde, it's kind of sleepy and it's kind of off duty and kind of the things it was doing aren't getting done. But if you pay attention, Jupiter retrograde was still bringing activity along the fronts of what was being expanded, but it just seems a little bit more subtle and a little bit more slow. Many people would have been having a topic having to do with health, and this is globally because Jupiter is in Virgo and Virgo is ruled by health or rules health. Also late degree Pisces placements, so like March 12th through the end of the sign, or like if you're watching for your rising sign, like 20 degrees to 29 degrees, you would have this doubly be true because for you, Jupiter is actually in your 6th house still. The rest of Pisces placements have had Jupiter in the 7th house. So we'll talk about that. So either health or your daily experience or your workplace situation, a workplace drama, a workplace, schedule, health, diet, medical diagnostics, labs, anything having to do with alternative or mainstream medicine, anything having to do with animals or pets. All of those things for late degree placements and really for all placements might have started to be tabled. Now for you early to middle degree placements, so like the beginning of the sign around February 20th through around March 11th, you would have had this energy of expansion in relationships that Jupiter was bringing to your 7th house. So client relationships, other business relationships, romantic relationships, all may have started to see some expansion and momentum at the end of last year. But then when Jupiter went retrograde, things just sort of started to cool down. But when Jupiter goes direct on May 9th, very likely those things are going to pick up again with even more momentum from the perspective of what Jupiter's doing, but there's still a little bit of lag time because Mars is still retrograde. So you see this picture here. Jupiter's waking up expansion is coming back. Also, it's very possible that things that you worked on in the pre-shadow period or other inner work that you were focusing on in the retrogrades, blessings could come from the work of the previous months or even years in the month of May, because these trines bring that. May 3rd, there's the sun is trining Jupiter. May 7th, the sun is trining Pluto. On the new moon, which is May 6th, there's a lot of strong energy with the new moon that includes the energy of trine. The last day of the month, we have a Mercury trine Pluto. There's just so many, and other nice harmonious things as well with different angles. So there's just a lot of goodness in this month, and I'm really excited about seeing how it comes to pass because there's just so much of it. The situation with the retrogrades still is putting us in a place where we don't really want to initiate anything. We don't want to really launch anything, but if something comes in to your field that seems like it's a blessing from work you did before, it's good for you to review and assess it. If you can put off making a final decision about either saying yes or yes with these terms to the opportunities that come to you, then it would be better to kind of be in negotiation. It's the kind of energy that when it comes in, you might just say yes, 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 because it's so exciting and maybe you've been waiting for it. But there's a little bit of caution there because the energy is retrograde, something is coming in, but you don't really have the full picture yet. You don't really have all the terms. There's information that's missing or being purposely withheld. So the more you can kind of carry along the negotiations without losing the chance to activate it, just kind of being prudent with the balance there, that's what you're going for this month. So some other things specifically for Pisces, there's a tremendous amount of energy in the second house. The second house is going to have the sun. For most of you, the new moon. Mercury is going to be retrograde there. Venus is going to be there as well. And the second house has to do with financial and emotional and self-sufficiency on every level, your capacity to make money, how much you're making, how you're making money, what you spend your money on, what you value, everything having to do with money and material possessions. It also has to do with the environmental focus. So living sustainably, living with the land, anything that's environmentally based, all is the second house. Second house also has to do with sensual pleasures, things that you enjoy with your money a lot of times. And sometimes, you can enjoy things without having money, but there is an association with buying, having access to money to buy certain things and then enjoying those luxurious type of things with the second house energy. So for all Pisces, there's a very strong short-term energy in the second house. So you'll likely be asking the questions, how am I making money? Is this the way I want to make money? Am I working too hard for the money? Should I work a little bit more? Am I prioritizing the things in my life that are important? Sometimes you might find if you write a list of your priorities, and this is a good thing to do while all that energy is in the second house, you'll write a list of your priorities and then write a list of the percentage of how you're using your time and see if how you're using your time matches up with what your priorities are. If spending time with your family or your family is a priority and you're working really hard to support your family, there might be a little bit of balance needed so that you can actually spend time enjoying life with your family. Things like that, where you're checking into your priorities. Or maybe you're home with your family all the time and you really need to be making more money. It's a subjective experience of what has value and what has priority that is going on at this time. So when we look at the horoscope chart, we're looking at short-term influences and we're looking at long-term influences. The short-term influences, like I just talked about with the second house, are things that will pass pretty quickly. The long-term influences are things that can go on for years. And Pisces placements, people with placements in Pisces have had Neptune, the South Node, and Chiron in for many years, all in your sign, activating massive amounts of change, each with their own type of energy. Neptune has been bringing dissolution or losses or dissolving out of things, and also spiritualizing of the process. Neptune very much has to do with addictions. There might be the energy of loss through addiction, or having to clear up addictions to stop the energy of loss, or a message coming to someone that if you keep up with your addictions, you're going to keep losing things, that type of energy. But it brings this promise of a spiritualizing aspect when you start to place your certainty within yourself and your connection with divine, and not putting your power into things outside of yourself. So there's this story of Neptune that's going on. The story of South Node is bringing back karmic experiences. And the story of Chiron is bringing up this very fragile, vulnerable woundedness. It's called the Wounded Healer. And the Wounded Healer is this asteroid that is just like your weak spot, you know? So many Pisces people have just been getting laid completely bare. In 2015, Neptune moved through 5 and 9 degrees, up, you know, between 5 and 9 degrees of Pisces. So people with the birthdays February 24th through March 2nd or so, you have been in the main focus of Neptune at this time. And it might have started before in 2014 as well, but the year of 2015 was really focused on people with, like, you know, 3 to 11 degrees of their rising sign in Pisces, or birthdays from around February 24th through around March 2nd. Now for 2016, that focus starts to move more into like the 26th, February 26th through like March 4th or 5th. You know, so it's slowly moving through the degrees. So it will move between 7 and 12 degrees, but the 2 degrees in either direction, so like from 5 to 14 degrees, is really what Neptune is working on right now. So these people, you all have been either having and or are still having or are about to have this major story of Neptune dissolving out things in your life that either you're losing because you're not, because you're wrapped up in addiction, or there's some issue with addiction or deceptiveness, or that is being dissolved away because as part of your spiritual process is just no longer a reality for you with your new energy. You know, so this can be very intense though. You know, I have personally experienced some very intense Neptune dissolution, and when it's happening, it doesn't feel good at all, and it feels scary, and it feels like kind of like water, like there's no solid footing underneath your feet, and you're looking for an anchor and looking for something solid, and it's just not there. And that's why the other end of the spectrum for Neptune has to do with setting your certainty in your spiritual connection, not in anything of this world. And that's the really big lesson with Neptune. So if you're in that ascendant group that I listed, you know, set like 5 to 14 degrees, or you're February 24th through March 5th, you have been or are about to be getting this story brought to you, you know? So it's a time that you have to be very honest with yourself as to what you could be doing to create the losses that seem to be coming from outside of you. So this is a period of time that is so rich with empowerment. You know, you can either look at it like, this is happening to me, and then you feel completely victimized, like there's no way out. Or you can look at it like, something inside of me is holographically projecting outside of myself, because we live in a holographic reality, and that's what happens. And so if I want to resolve the things that are going on outside of myself, I have to resolve the placement within myself that it is stemming from. And that is the seed of empowerment right there. Sometimes when I talk about these deeper transits that are happening, I'll have someone write to say, oh great, more bad news, you know, and then just kind of spin into a negative thing. And I think that my way is anything but negative. I'm completely optimistic and positive about anyone's capacity to utilize the most difficult transit for their highest good, and to really take a hold of the quality of their experience and improve it dramatically, you know? So it's just a matter of whether you want to still remain a victim of the world you see, which is the seed of addiction. I mean, that's the story of addiction, is everything is happening to me. I place importance in something outside of myself, and that is real. So there's this powerful process, and it's happening for all Pisces because of the South Node and Chiron and Neptune being at all different degrees in Pisces. All these stories are going on, like, okay, how much longer are you going to feel sorry for yourself? When are you going to realize that you have a say in this? One of the my favorite ways to change this experience around is a book called The Presence Process by Michael Brown. I also love inner work like EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique, EMDR, which is a trauma releasing rapid eye movement therapy. I love NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, anything that gets back to the root cause of an issue within yourself. They're all powerful ways that you can turn this energy around, and with the retrograde still occurring, it makes it even more conducive to going deep within yourself instead of focusing too much on the things materially outside of yourself. So those are the main things that I see going on. We've got Jupiter turning back on. Relationships for many of you may start to expand again. Health issues may start to move forward, and lots of short-term energy on value and finances. And then we've got the retrograde. So definitely check out my Mars retrograde video and blog. Definitely check out my Mercury retrograde video, because even though this happens often, Mercury retrograde, there are still things to know to really rock this transit, because there are lots of opportunities here. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blog. And if you are interested in laying a foundation in your brain, training your brain to create new experiences, new positive experiences, then check out my Train Your Brain programs. And you can see those on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. I have them for creating great relationships, creating health, creating money, working for yourself, etc. So check them out, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.